Welcome to the X Corner. I'm here to add a much bigger mutation to the superhero crew this week. I'll be covering the X comics for the weeks of March 21st and 28th of 2018, since I was away last week. We have 5 comics and a couple of pages this episode. We have Cable 155, X-Men Gold 24, Legion number 3, Old Man Logan 37, X-Men Blue 24, and the Wolverine pages from Incredible Hulk 714 and Invincible Iron Man 598. Not really as bad as I expected. There'll be spoilers, of course. We'll start with Cable 155. The writers are Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler, and the penciler is Jermaine Peralta. Past Fears starts here. So, since Cable was a boy, an evil techno-organic virus monster named Metis has been hunting him. And the monster is back, and it attacks Hope, Cable's adopted daughter. It scars her with the same eye scar as Cable. It seems the monster lives off Cable's fear. Cable decides to fight the monster with Hope's help. After a tussle and a sneak attack by Hope, they grab Metis in a TK bubble, and then Cable absorbs Metis into his techno-virused arm, in a scene right out of Akira. Strangely, this book was solicited with Ed Brisson writing, so that's weird. The opening scenes with Cable gallivanting through time and fighting Nimrod were fun as a side mission. Once the actual story started, it was a strange one though. I thought the Metis attacks were a dream, but nope, he's a real monster. I liked seeing Hope again, and her return to the X-Campus was humorous as Kitty was both scared of her and welcoming. Hope's own series was one of those ever-happening cancellations before its time, so I'm hoping she'll be back for more. Other than the writer change and the trippy Akira ending, not much more to say. Pretty solid Cable story so far. I'm actually going to give it a 7 out of 10. Then there's X-Men Gold 24. The writer is Mark Guggenheim and the penciler is Tony Silas. The Orange is the New Black pastiche continues as Storm, Rachel, and Kitty have to fight some bruiser ladies looking to prove their dominance in the prison. Rachel and Storm dispatch their enemies thanks to Wolverine's combat training, while Kitty credits the fact that she's a ninja, with a nice callback to the Kitty Pryde and Wolverine miniseries from the 80s. Just as they are being sent to solitary, in a nice way to switch to the X-Men, a guard runs up and says something is happening in the city. In jumps the X-Men with Rogue, taking most of the lead, even though Bobby is the real leader supposedly. We'll see how that plays out. And they're fighting some inhuman environmentalist bent on destroying man's world. He is more powerful than last time Rogue fought him, because he's got cancer inside of him, it seems. Rogue knocks him down and steals his powers and saves the day. There's a nice play between the X-Men in prison and the ones saving the city. Good interactions between Pyro and Magma, becoming Fire Bros. But overall this was a bit of a one-off issue, which is rare in this day and age, but it felt refreshing. I can't say it was great, but I enjoyed it, so 7 out of 10. Then we have Legion number 3. The writer is Peter Milligan, and the penciler is Wilfredo Torres. So here we are again in the mind of a madman. Hannah is in the middle of a mind storm, but quickly uses her superpower of psychiatry to deduce that the storm was caused by her guide's doubts. She has a therapy session with Tammy, which calms the girl down, and is once again on the run from Lord Trauma's forces. But now she has a plan. She's going to meet with David's toughest alter named the Hunter, to unite the alters against Trauma. Trauma is getting angry at her interference, and we get a clue that this whole situation might have been caused by the Shadow King, back in a classic X-Men comic. Hannah meets the Hunter after he shoots the evil alters chasing them, and she stands up to him to try and get him on her side. Meanwhile, David, this whole time, in the real world, is trying to protect Hannah's body in the hospital. He's mostly succeeding, until Trauma takes drastic actions to come to the real world to try and stop the Doctor from fixing David's mind. This comic is making me insane. It is really good though. The art is crazy, but that works obviously. And the connection to the Shadow King has me concerned, because we just saw him killed in Astonishing X-Men, but continuity errors hasn't stopped Marvel before. Overall, a good ride as Hannah figures out each alter's representation and figures out how to deal with them. I think there will be a twist coming, but so far the Alice in Wonderland-esque romp has been fun. Rating 8 out of 10. Next we have Old Man Logan 37. The writer is Ed Brisson this time, and the penciler is Dalibor Talajic. So Logan has that drive he thinks will take down the Kingpin, and he goes to the writer of Kingpin's memoir to try and figure it out, for some reason. The woman is drunk after selling her soul to Kingpin to write the book, but she agrees to help after they get food, for obvious plot reasons. Bullseye is tailing them, and empties a bunch of shampoos and other smelly things in the store to throw Logan's sense of smell off. He attacks and blinds one of Logan's eyes with a bottle cap, and deafens one ear with a toothpick, incapacitating him. Bullseye soon realizes that Logan gave the drive to the writer, and this writer named Sarah runs off to a convenient hacktivist friend she has to decrypt the drive. After the smarmy hacker mansplains how he can easily decrypt the drive, Bullseye sends a pair of salad tongs through his eyes and demands their drive back. This comic was very subpar on the writing, which is strange since all of Brisson's other issues were pretty solid. This issue has one contrivance after another to move the plot along with very little sense. The fight between a weakened Logan and Bullseye, though, was fun, and the running gag of people noticing Logan's one set of bone claws is a highlight. Otherwise, it was kind of like bad fanfic. The only good parts were Bullseye's kills, and they were only mildly entertaining. A down issue for this comic, unfortunately. Rating 6 out of 10, only because seeing the hacktivist get salad tongs through the eyes was so satisfying. Then there's XMen Blue 24, the writer's Cullen Bunn, and the penciler's Jorge Molina. Where to start? Magneto is getting his butt handed to him from the overpowered Shaw, but Shaw's mutation backfires and starts eating his own cells, shriveling him, but not killing him. Miss Sinister's Ultimate Universe mutants weren't working with Zorn like I thought last issue, but trying to recruit him. He says no and they fight. His helmet cracks and releases a gout of energy, and Jimmy jumps in to help. Bloodstorm also swoops in and grabs Jimmy and Zorn for a quick escape. Back in the Madripoor X mansion, with the malice-possessed Polaris is decimating the Raksha. She kills them all before Polaris reasserts herself and destroys Malice. This Malice was from the Ultimate Universe, too, and wasn't as strong as the one Polaris had been possessed by before, so she was able to fight back. Meanwhile, Briar, looking a lot like Black Widow, ends up in a nightclub to invite Daken to the team. She offers a pair of adamantium katanas Magneto had made for Daken as a welcoming gift. Back to Magneto, he uses a shriveled Shaw to get a face-to-face with Havoc, Emma, Miss Sinister, and Bastion. He tries to convince him that the Mother Vine's secondary mutations are unstable, but they say join us or die. It ends with a standoff. Let me just start by saying this cover was my wet dream. My two favorite characters scowling split screen. I want the poster. The next thing is that on the inside cover recap page are all the time-displaced X-Men with missing on their faces, with the only non-missing one being Jimmy Hudson. What about Bloodstorm? Is she chopped liver? What the hell, Marvel? I won't even consider that you didn't put her up there because, you know, she's, how can I say this delicately, a vampire? For shame, Marvel. I thought, as a society, we had moved beyond simple blood drinking as a thing that kept you out of the credit page. Anyway, this comic was great. Every time you thought evil was winning, they'd switch to a different character, but when they came back, the good guys turned the tide. Really well structured. So now the team is set. Magneto, Briar, Polaris, Jimmy, Bloodstorm, Daken, and Zorn. That's a mighty fine looking team. Let's hope Venom kills off the other X-Men, because I want these guys to stick around. This book was a sleeper, and I think it's turning out to be the best X book right now. An easy 9.5 out of 10. That's a new high score for those keeping track at home. Lastly, we have the Wolverine pages in Incredible Hulk 714 and Invincible Iron Man 598. I would tell you they're the writer and artist, but they don't credit these people anymore. I guess they just don't carry, just like I don't. So I think these are the last two post-credit scenes. I can't find a list anywhere showing any past these, and between you and me, I don't want to bother looking. Of all the post-credit scenes, these seem to be the worst. The art is fine, even though, like I said, no talent credited, but they're just nothing. The Hulk one has the Wolverine watching the big battle from the issue on a big screen in maybe Times Square. He just says that the Hulk is losing it, and that ain't good. The second scene from Iron Man is just indecipherable. For some reason, Logan is in MIT in a random lab with a printout that's falling all over the floor. It's either an EKG or a seismograph, but I can't tell. Neither makes any sense in the issue. Wolverine says he'll see Tony soon, so I guess it has something to do with his disappearance? Who knows? I'm out even if there is any more. A strange attempt at marketing that ultimately failed in my book. The people reading these comics probably don't care about Wolverine returning, and I know I don't care about these comics. Pretty good week overall though. I thought I'd be hammered taking a week off, but thanks to Marvel's scheduling, it wasn't so bad. I'm glad the Wolverine post-credit scenes seem to be over. At least with 1,000 miniseries, we might get a coherent story out of them. On to April next week, so we'll see what the showers bring. Happy trails until then.